Scotland is a land of untold beauty with wild landscapes, rugged mountains and dramatic coastlines. Hi, my name is Catherine and I love to read books and travel. Scotland itself is a feast for book lovers with writers, poets and literary references everywhere you turn. On a recent trip to Scotland, it was the islands that really captured my imagination. There are hundreds of islands dotting the coastline, from tiny specks to bigger islands supporting several communities. What appealed to me most about the islands was the remoteness and the determination of the locals to carve out an existence in such a wild environment. Whenever my travels took me to an island, I felt so alive, with fresh air in my lungs and the wind in my hair. Here are 4 books I enjoyed that are set on islands in Scotland. First up is Sea Room by Adam Nicholson. The author inherits a group of tiny islands called the Saints on his 21st birthday. Years on, he is about to bequeath the islands to his son, and this spurs him on to capture in writing what these islands mean to him, personally and ecologically to the world. The book is structured around chapters on specific topics with a good mix of fact and anecdotes. Overall, I loved how he vividly described the remoteness of the islands and the real-life stories, including boat trips across the dangerous seas, the natural rhythms of the seabirds arriving and leaving as each season turns, and one story about the discovery by the locals of the Golden Torque, a piece of jewellery from the Bronze Age and now proudly on display in Edinburgh. Book 2 is a short book published in 1970 called The Crofter and the Laird by John McPhee. The author's ancestors are Scottish, specifically from the island of Colonsay. McPhee, an American, with his wife and 4 daughters, uproots to the island to live and experience a traditional island lifestyle. It's not your typical travelogue with witty anecdotes. McPhee gets under the skin of the locals, their traditions and way of thinking, and delivers an intimate portrait of different points of view on Scottish life. From long-time crofters to the new Laird and new arrivals like him, I especially liked the way he explained traditional life for someone like me, keen to learn but essentially clueless about the history and culture. McPhee does not dumb down the insights. He has a knack of giving the right context and just enough detail. Book 3 is The Hill of the Red Fox by Allan Campbell McLean. Now that's a good Scottish name. Alistair, a 12-year-old boy, is travelling from his home in London to the small cottage he was born in on the Isle of Skye. During the journey, a mysterious man secretly passes him a message. Alistair needs to discover if the message is related to buried treasure, or tales of old clan feuds, or something more sinister. Told in the first person, all in all, this is an enjoyable boy's adventure story. The descriptions of the landscape were so evocative, I could easily imagine myself once again soaking up the beauty of the Kerrang or walking through heather. But best of all was the glimpses into the crofters' way of life, like how the peat was cut and the sheep were shorn. The final book is Letters from Skye by Jessica Brockmole. If you like enduring love stories, then this is a book for you. What can David, a college prankster from Chicago, and Elspeth, a poet on the Isle of Skye, possibly have in common? Well, lots, but I won't include any spoilers here. What I liked about the book was the snappy pace. It's told in letters and the narrative swaps between Elspeth, David, her daughter, Margaret, and others. This gives insights into different points of view on the same relationship. Whilst a lot of the book takes place on the Isle of Skye, for me, the island did not feature as strongly as the self-created islands in the minds of Elspeth and David. These islands of the mind about what we can and can't do are powerful. Elspeth's reluctance to go on a ferry to leave the island is a classic example. Throw in the tragedy of 2 world wars and Brockmole delivers a cracking first book. I now need to read more of her work. And that's just 4 of many books set on Scottish islands. What more could a book-obsessed lass ask for? Let me know in the comments below your favourite Scottish island, or if you have a favourite book set on a Scottish island I should read next.